Well, it's finally here. We're going to meet this season's Anaheim Ducks. The roster's revealed. We'll talk about that on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason J.D. Hernandez. I'm the PA announcer for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Have also done PA for the Ducks. This is my 5th season doing this. And hey, Zuri's back. So Zuri, say hi to the fine folks out there on YouTube land. Yeah, this is my puppy, Zuri. And I think he's ready to go down. Zuri, one more kiss? Yeah? Okay. No? Yeah, there we go. What a good pup. All right. Say bye to the fine folks, Zuri. Just thought I would bring her back for an episode. All right. So this is an episode that I do every season where I talk about and break down the rosters. Yeah, we got to break down the rosters. I know the Ducks roster came out a little bit later because they don't play until the weekend. In fact, the Ducks are, I think, one of the last teams to start their NHL season. I know for sure they're the last Western team that begins play because as I'm recording this, they're the only team that hasn't played yet in the West. So, yippee skippy. All right, so we're going to go through each set of players, and then I'll talk about my thoughts on the rosters, who I think can have breakout years. So, let's get right to it. We're going to start with the forwards. There's quite a few young forwards on this list, quite a few young players in general on this list. So we'll begin with the forwards, and it begins obviously with Trevor. Actually, no, I'm going to start with Troy Terry. I love Trevor Zegras, but my favorite player is actually Troy Terry, who just signed a contract extension, $7 million per season. He is, I think, going to be the future captain for the Anaheim Ducks. Troy Terry, I think, could have a breakout season this year. Terry last season had a pretty solid run at it. Scored, 23 goals, 61 points, not bad. Year before, 37 goals. I think he is capable of a 40-goal season. I think a lot of fans can see the potential in Troy Terry. 21-22 was his breakout season, and now we see what the potential is there. And I believe that Troy Terry's entering his prime right now. He's only 26 years old. He has scratched the surface of his potential. He's going to be probably most important player on that top line. Because second most important is Trevor Zegras, who did lead the team in goals and scoring last season. He just signed a contract, not as long as Terry. Trevor only got a 3-year deal. But Trevor it's like 1A, 1B for Troy Terry and Trevor Zegras as far as importance for the Anaheim Ducks. Where Trevor Zegras should be more of a goal scorer, Troy Terry also needs to be more aggressive. And that leads me to think that someone in the middle is going to be the distributor. And right now, it's Z up the middle. Adam Henrique also on that line. So once again, we have that top line of Henrique, Terry, and Zegras. A line that we're all familiar with over the past couple seasons, and a line that has seen the majority of the scoring as it should be. So those are your 3 most important players, Terry, Henrique, Zegras. Then we go down the line. That's where it gets fun. So in no particular order, I'm going to start with Jakob Silfverberg, who has been an alternate captain in the past. He has come off of surgery. He's one of the elder statesmen for the Anaheim Ducks. He's 33 years old. He might be the oldest player on the roster right now, which is really hard to believe. I take that back. He's not the oldest on the roster, but Silfverberg, he's seen it all. He really has. And if he's going to be successful, he's going to have to remain healthy for the entire season. Then we have Ryan Strome, who does fill an important role for the Ducks. I believe that he can score 20, 25 goals in a season. Maybe one of the more important players on this team, so someone to look out for. Then you have his former Rangers line mate, and still line mate at times, Frank Vatrano. We know Vatrano can score and put the puck behind the net. We know he's capable. Hopefully he can have a big season. Then you have Max Jones, who is one of the more beloved Ducks on the roster. Very important bottom six guy. So Max Jones is in there. Mason McTavish. Okay, here's my take. I think McTavish is going to have his breakout season this year. I mean, last year he kind of broke out. This year, I think he's going to break out even more. And I do believe that he's going to score 25 goals. You ready for this? I believe he can score 25 goals this season. And I easily believe that he can score at least 55 points this year. This season, I truly believe that. Last season, 17 goals, 43 points. Played almost every game. He's bulked up even more than he had already. His hands have gotten better. His awareness has gotten better through the postseason. Looking at his skating up close, his skating looks more powerful, especially up close, than it has the prior two seasons. You could tell he's worked on his skating even more than he had been before. So that's my big player to watch out for. Mason McTavish. Watch for him to have a big year. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks out early in the season as well. That'll be fun. Then we have Sam Carrick, the crafty veteran, who is more of a fighter. His skating has improved. Always has a bit of an edge to his play and can get into the occasional scrap. But at least Sam Carrick can help protect his teammates. Brett Leeson, who had a very terrific preseason, very good training camp for the Ducks. He cracked the roster along with Bo Grew. Love me some Bo Grew. Then we have someone that the Ducks picked up off waivers just over the past couple days. Ross Johnston, who previously played with the Islanders, the Bridgeport Islanders. Well, really, he played most of his career with the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. Who remembers the Bridgeport Sound Tigers? That was such a better name than the Bridgeport Islanders, but I digress. I like original team names, but that's just me. So he was part of the Sound Tigers for a while, and now currently a member of the Anaheim Ducks. Yeah, that's weird of me to say that. Leo Carlsson did crack the roster, but he begins the season on the season, I think it's called the season opening injured list or injured reserve. Leo Carlsson did make the team, but he's on the injured list for an undetermined amount of time. We still don't have an exact timetable, but now hearing that he's not going to be out for a long time is encouraging news. So you want to hear about that. Whew. Also, Chase DeLeo, who's going to be out for a while, the La Mirada native, did make the Ducks roster, but I expect him to still go down to San Diego and possibly be their captain. I haven't talked about Alex Killorn yet, who starts on the injured list. He's going to be out for a while as well. Alex Killorn was brought in to bring a much needed punch to the power play. That's where he shines. Him not being on the power play, it stinks for now. Isaac Lundestrom, he also begins on the injured list. He will be out until at least the All-Star break. That stinks. Brock McGinn also cracks the roster, so good to see him make it. So those are your forwards. I'll list them once again. Carlson, Carrick, DeLeo, Grew, Henrique, Johnston, Jones, Killorn, Leeson, Lundestrom, McGinn, McTavish, Silfverberg, Strome, Terry, Vatrano, Zegras. Those are your forwards for the 2023-24 roster. We are going to head into the first intermission, talk about defensemen, and talk about goalies on the other side. Now a brief word from Sleeper. All right, so let's talk about this Ducks team. Say they're going to have a big victory against the Coyotes. Maybe you want to, put something on that. Maybe Troy Terry scores a hat trick, or maybe trick shot merchant Trevor Zegras scores a hat trick against the Coyotes this week. Something to watch for. Maybe you need to see if you want to win 100 times your money. Play daily fantasy hockey on the Sleeper app. These are all possible scenarios for the season, but to have a chance at winning big, you got to play daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper as the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our top choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey. I think Z can do well against the Coyotes. Maybe Troy Terry later on in the season when he plays the Kraken. Yeah, put something on Troy Terry scoring against the Kraken because he does that all the time. So once again, with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in DFH contests. So choose stats like goals, assists, saves. Maybe Gibby will have a big game. Maybe Dostal will close the bakery. So use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, or TLOPN. Once again, you're locked in with Jason JD Hernandez as we are meeting this year's Anaheim Ducks. I do this every year, so it's called Meet the Ducks. So we're going to meet the defensemen and the goalies now. Not as long a list as the forwards, but a couple names that I want to really focus on here. So let's start with our defensemen. Guess who is back and hopefully playing a full season this year? My guy JD. Great initials. Jamie Drysdale. Just signed a 3-year deal with the Anaheim Ducks. He is back. He's going to be a very important defenseman this season. This could be his breakout season. In fact, Jamie Drysdale, I think, has been a little bit overlooked at times. Maybe because he's been hurt for the past, 12 months. He's been out. He's been hurt. It sucks. But now with a new number, once again, number 6, I think he can hit double-digit goals this season. He can get 35, 40 points this season. I'm all for that. He has scored over 40 points in the past in juniors, and I think he can get there as well. He could get off to a hot start also. So maybe Jamie Drysdale is one of those players that you do need to keep an eye on. So JD, welcome back to the Ducks. We missed you so much. Other defensemen on this list. Okay, I want to talk about Radko Gudas for a second because he was brought in for grit and determination. He is the elder statesman, I guess he is right now the elder statesman of the Ducks, although technically it's Adam Henrique. He's a few months older, and technically, Alex Killorn is the elder statesman, but he's hurt. So I'm going to say Radko Gudas is the other elder statesman. He's seen it all. He's been around a while. He's definitely not afraid to drop some heads. Not afraid at all. So welcome to the Ducks, Radko. Then the steady veteran, Cam Fowler, who has been an alternate captain for a long time with the Ducks. He's someone that's fairly reliable, someone you can count on for the most part. Cam Fowler has 3 years left on his contract. Hey, you know what? Cam Fowler is 31. We'll see how he does this season. Hopefully he has a pretty big season. Then you have Ilya Lyubushkin. All right. Ilya Lyubushkin is someone else that's been around for a while, someone that is capable of scoring the big goal. So that's someone I'm excited about. And then Vax, Urho Vaknainen, who did make the Ducks roster. Very important third line or third pairing piece. Someone that is fairly responsible on defense. Now, I left these names in particular for last because y'all know what I've been saying for the past few years, and it's finally happening. So I'm going to say it. Let the kids play! Yeah! It's their time, folks. It is the kids' time. My dog is looking at me like I'm crazy. Yeah, so I'm going to yell it to the rooftops. Let the kids play! 3 rookies on the roster. I'm excited about this. Let's start with Jackson Lacombe, who did play 2 games last season, but this is his official rookie year. I'm excited about Lacombe. He brings a certain intelligence to the team, a certain ability to the team. We saw numerous times during training camp and from quotes from Coach Greg Cronin that Lacombe has improved and worked on his skating. He's got a very good active stick, has been responsible on the defensive end, especially during that rookie showcase. Then we have Tristan Luneau, who I'm actually very excited about Tristan Luneau personally, because he had a terrific rookie camp, a great preseason, and he busted through. He made the roster. Good for Luneau. He's only 19 years old, folks. He's only 19, and he's already showing me something on this roster. I love watching him skate. And he's still so young, too. And then the first round pick from last year, Pavel Mintyukov, he made the roster as well. So Pavel Mintyukov is kind of a bigger, well, not a bigger body, but he is not afraid to throw around his body. We definitely saw that during the preseason. He'll give some checks. He'll take some hits. He'll give some hits. He's good for that. So you know what? He kind of earned that spot. Especially the last 2 preseason games. He showed what he's capable of, and he earned it. I'll give him credit for that. So those are your defensemen. Once again, in order, Drysdale, Fowler, Gudas, Lacombe, Luneau, Labushkin, Mintyukov, Vakanainen. Let the kids play. Then the goalies. Would you believe Alex Stalock did not make the roster? So Stalock was brought in, like he was signed to be the backup to John Gibson. But Stalock did not have a good camp. He had an awful preseason and he didn't make the team. So Stalock goes down to the San Diego Gulls, and I'll do a Meet the Gulls. I think I'll have to do that later this week for our official first Gulls Thursday. And yeah, he didn't make it. So the bakery officially comes to Anaheim. Lukáš Dostal is your backup goalie to John Gibson. There were some tweets out there saying that maybe Dostal is competing for that number 1 spot. Okay, let's be real here. Dostal is great. I love Lukáš Dostal. He was easily one of my favorite players on the San Diego Gulls for the last couple of seasons. Super great kid, super nice guy too. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Super nice guy. Really nice down at Palm Desert at Coachella. I'll leave it at that, but yeah, love the kid. But Gibby's still your number 1 goalie. He is still the man on the Ducks, and he should be. Because John Gibson, I've mentioned this on the Breaking Down by the Numbers at the end of last season, that Gibby does still make very good saves. Even strength, he is still that guy. And he does do very well in high danger chances. He was in the top percentile, top half rather, for high danger save percentage. So as far as that's concerned, Gibby's still good. The reason his basic numbers, kind of stunk is because the Ducks defense stunk. The defense in front of him did him no favors. So of course Gibson is going to struggle at times because there's no one in front of him. Absolutely no one. So there you go. Those are your goalies. Dostal and Gibby. All right. Second intermission coming. I'll give my opinions and my personal thoughts on this roster. Stay locked in. Now let's talk about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. Underlined patience, Ducks fans, is what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVC, most valuable car, and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to episode number 769, nice, of Locked On Anaheim Ducks. I'm once again JD Hernandez. All right, so I talked about the roster. I kind of want to just break down some of my thoughts. So because Leo Carlsson is injured right now, that does force Trevor Zegras back to center. I think Z is much more comfortable and much better at wing. And I get that out of necessity right now, the Ducks are putting Z up the middle, and I get that. And that's mainly because both Carlsson and Isaac Lundestrom are both hurt. Lundestrom is, and always has been, a steady bottom six center. Always has been. To see him out, yeah, that one hurts. I think Lundestrom being out for that long hurts more than Leo Carlsson being out for an indeterminate amount of time. It stinks. I'm sad about that one. So, as far as forwards are concerned, I'm okay with everyone that made it. Ross Johnston was an interesting waivers claim. I think he's only there to throw around his body a little bit because Ross Johnston has had his number of scraps that he's been in. The one player that I would have liked to have seen given a chance was Nikita Nesterenko. Nesterenko had some brilliant moments in training camp. I think he could have been very important. He probably would have ended up being a healthy scratch for a lot of games, but he's still important. And I think him having NHL experience, put him in there for a game or two, I think that would have been good for the young kid's confidence. So that one, yeah, that one's fine. Regenda is going to do very well with the San Diego Gulls. I'll tell you that much right now. Regenda has always been kind of a sniper between the pipes. Yeah, I like him a lot. I've always been a fan of the Regenda agenda. So those are two guys that I think I would have liked to have seen given a chance, but I get why he wasn't. If that makes any sense, I get why. I'm okay with Carrick, Leeson, Grew making it. Johnston filled that last role, so I get it. But just my opinion on that. Otherwise, I like the makeup of this roster. I like how young the forwards are, and I also like in general how young this roster is. I've been advocating for this for a long time, to let youth be served. And I think now with Pat Verbeek at the helm, and now that we have new coach Greg Cronin, I think he's letting the kids play. He's loosening the noose a little bit. I mean, I hate to put it like that, but he's giving them a little bit of freedom. And Greg Cronin, as we've seen during the preseason, that he's giving the kids chances to learn from their mistakes. He's giving them chances to work through the system and learn with the system. And I think that's probably one of the most important things overall, is getting the kids used to Ducks hockey, used to the system. We'll see how it plays out. It is going to be very tough to start, I believe. And this is especially true on the defensive side. Okay. I like, for the most part, the defense. Mintyukov, I didn't like it at first, but he showed me something towards the end of the preseason. I still think Olen Zellweger deserves a very fair chance with the Ducks. I think Noah Warren should get his time with the Ducks. Warren I've seen skate very strong. Warren I have seen have some terrific plays in the blue line. Also has been pretty decent at quarterbacking power plays as well. Drew Hellison, I think he's fine in the AHL. Olen Zellweger definitely deserves a shot at the NHL. He certainly does. Mintyukov, the end of the preseason, I could see why he made the team. I could see why. So, let that kid play. But for me personally, I think just because of the overall, I think I would have swapped out one kid, Mintyukov, for another kid, Olen Zellweger, who is a better skater. But Minty does throw his body around a little bit more, has a little bit more physicality, something that Pat Verbeek likes. So that's why I think we saw Minty in there instead of Zellweger. Goalies are fine. Look, I've been saying Luke Ash deserves a shot. Here's his shot. Stalock had such a poor preseason that I get sending him down to San Diego, putting him through waivers, and have him there with Calle Klang and Gage Alexander. That's fine. Dostal, I would like... Now, here's my thing with this. I want to see Dostal start a lot more games this season. I would like to see Lukash start, you ready? At least 30 games this season. Give him more games. Give him more of a chance. I'd be okay with Gibby getting 50 games and Dostal getting 32 games, best case scenario, if neither of them get injured. That's what I want to see. And eventually Dostal can become that number one goalie. Maybe it's not Dostal's time yet, but it's coming. It is absolutely coming. So overall, I'm okay with the roster for the most part. I think there's still going to be some growing pains. They'll learn together, folks. They will. So, as I've said before, have patience. So, there it is. Your 2023-24 Anaheim Ducks roster. That'll do it for this podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, ad-free on Amazon, YouTube. Check us out there. You could follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at StimpyJD. The show's Twitter is at LO_Ducks. You can email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. And once again, thank you all for your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason JD Hernandez, saying have a great rest of the day. Please remember to be safe out there, be kind to one another, and Ducks fly together.